Hey, my name is Apollo and people call me Paul sometimes, and not that it matters, am someone who claims they can do just about anything given the proper practice and enough time, though I can't promise that I'll be great at it because to do multiple things at once and to be great with it requires more than just a lifetime to practice. Now this is where I fall short. I don't know what I am doing. I used to be proud of being capable to do what I could do, to write stories, to make videos, and to craft ideas. But as the world began to broaden, those ideas remain only a speck of what the world has shown. Now I don't want to say that it's making me insecure, but it's making me insecure and thus results to an immense amount of time in isolation, with the doubts and the voices in my head saying I could never achieve such lengths. However, here I am, still able to wake up every morning, yet confused as to why. The burden which floats around my idea of I need to be the best of everything that I can do, it bears too much struggle and consequence to the point where I feel myself changing. I just don't want to be mediocre. I just don't want to be able to capture photos, to not just be able to make videos, to not just create ideas and stories. But I guess that's what most people dream of, and some are just lucky to have that dream come true and to be able to see it come to fruition. Ideally, it is never a good idea to wear multiple hats at once, but that idea for me is just fascinating. The feeling of being in control of almost everything I can do is what I assure you most people would want and love. Or maybe I'm just a control freak who likes everything to be in its place and by its order, so I won't have to be confused why it is here when it was supposed to be there in the first place. Now, the problem here is my expectations and assumptions of successfully capturing my vision for the first time in a single effort sets the bar up too high. There is never any room for error, no room for mistakes, no room for miscalculations. The standards that I set for myself can be even too high for me to reach. But should it always be like that? Should I always outdo myself? To leave no imperfections? To neglect the rough moments? Should I? Or should I continue on this path of pursuing the exact, perfect parallel of myself? I haven't really given much thought into it about how I'm supposed to confront this. I mean, sooner or later I need to accept that some things can never be perfect, and there are existing moments where I have no control over them. And as much as I'd like to have full authority over some things, there is someone more qualified than I'll ever be, more knowledgeable and trained. And that's one thing I've always been okay with in the first place. I'm aware that I'm not the best, which was never my problem. The problem was striving for perfection in an imperfect world. Well, I guess most of us have tried to perfect something for once in our life, to make us feel significant, to grant us relevance. And in that effort we realize how difficult it could be. Like when you create a project and you try to show it to other people. Sometimes they don't get satisfied with it but you are, and oftentimes you don't get satisfied with it but they do. And then you set off to either please the crowd or yourself, or you pursue that balance in between, the Goldilocks zone of perfection. Personally, that is mainly the reason why I don't usually put out more work to the public. I somewhat hold on to or gatekeep my projects and not have it see the light of day because I don't think it is worthy for the public to see. And I don't think it will ever be worthy of it in my case of severe perfectionism, because everything must be flawless, cleaned, and polished before ever getting published. And I think it has to do with a certain fear of mine, a fear of being judged. The fear of being misunderstood by a broad range of audience if I ever do stumble across one. And that fear is what causes me to become a gatekeeper of my own part of the mind that commands me to ignore the reason of gatekeeping and to simply just release and to not have the fear or to not be afraid of the judgment and mistakes made along the way. Because yeah, how else are you ever gonna fucking learn, Pauls? Yet the journey towards the goals I've set with my life are still fairly new, but I am so certain about it. But seeing as I'm still very young, those goals may evolve to become better things or smaller things over time, when practicality beats creativity and imagination. And I don't think I'll ever be prepared for that. But you won't be prepared for it when you always see people, especially on the internet, living their best life while doing their dream job just because they follow their creativity and their imagination. And I think that should define my meaning of success. Not for the glitz and the glamour and the luxury of being internationally renowned, but rather to achieve a sense of fulfillment as I discovered the true purpose of my passion. And that is what I live for every day. But it really is a struggle to oftentimes battle your own heart and to fight using reason and judgment. It can be what can kill a dream, in my opinion. All I ever wanted and grew up to realize is to simply just create. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you can create multiple of it. Sometimes the only thing that does matter is that you get to finish one. And that's something I've learned the hard way. I've always tried to heavily pre-plan multiple projects, multiple video ideas, and once I start to do them, it just all fades away. No motivation, no excitement. It just beats living and creating in a moment, you know. And just like in life, sometimes there are some things you just have to wing. And as I confront these sad obstacles and obstructions, I'll never expect it would ever be easy. Just like with most things fulfilling and meaningful in life, you don't get them the easy way. But instead, I'd rather face it as it is, embrace it, and figure out a way on how to overcome it. And I'll certainly do my best to not be such a perfectionist about it. I've had my moments with these trials. I've had my scars and I've tasted its torture. But I can't say it's finished with me yet, so I guess I'll just still have to be a masochist about it, but without the sexual gratification of being a masochist. Personally, I've encountered such terrible demons disguised as these obstructions. As every single one of them blocks my way towards the goal, they all have a favorite sentence rehearsed. And in that moment, they say it in an attempt to stop me or to make me doubt myself.
You're stupid. You're worthless. No one will ever understand what you're doing with your life. You know why? They don't fucking care. They don't care about you, okay? You need to stop acting like this. No one fucking likes you. No one will like you, okay? You are worthless. No one will ever be there for you in your life. You will struggle on your own and you're gonna die. You won't be successful whatever the fuck you're doing right now. You won't achieve it, okay? You're gonna fail. You weren't even supposed to make it this far. You were supposed to fail down along the road. I don't know why you keep making these things. You won't be successful with it. There are a lot of people out there far more talented than you. Just stop trying and you just die.
And it's fucking terrible. Maybe the solution to this chronic problem that I have is as simple as contrasted to the complexity of this problem. And that may be acceptance. To accept things as they are and to see past my human desires of triumph and achievement. And in that way I can see the world as it truly is. A plague of imperfections with expectations for mortals as flawless as the diameter of the Earth's surface. From a flawed circle, from an oblate spheroid, from this god-forsaken rock. And yet we would make it seem that quintessential things are desirable and yet also expedient in a matter of being advantageous to our nature and to nature's nature, lest we forget we are human. And we cannot defy our nature, but nature would want us to do better. Ah, humans, such complex creatures living in a simple world. Why do we always have to make things so complicated? But instead of blaming the human race, I hereby claim responsibility and declare that I am a perfectionistic motherfucker in need of change. And I think being able to admit your faults takes more power than to pocket in your own mistakes. And being able to change and correct said errors, well, you're just brute force at that point. Well anyways, I'm sorry you had to see me rant for a few minutes about my destructive pursuit for perfection. Hopefully I can find some sort of resolve to this problem at some point in the future, you know. But for now I just have to bask in the warmth of the familiar feeling of which is called perfectionism. And my toxic relationship with it.